Rakesh Jhunjhunwala has made his fame and fortune by calling the markets right. How he's gone with a starting capital of 5,000 rupees to a net worth of a few thousand crore rupees is now the stuff of urban legend. One of the big bulls of the stock market, Jhunjhunwala, is quick to point out that he is bullish first and foremost on India's growth story. For the chartered accountant who bet big with the Madhu Dandavate budget of 1989, this is where it all started.
It's 9 o'clock in the morning. We are outside the Bombay Stock Exchange.
Right.
Do you feel sentimental when you pass by this road? This is
Very
where you
much.
started your career, what,
I
20
can
years
tell you
ago?
that I started here in 1985.
You've been saying hello to a lot of people.
Yes, I know a lot of people here.
Huh.
I had no office here. I used to come here with a bag. We used to get a ticket to enter the ring,
Huh.
which I could not get the permission. So I used to stand outside the ring and see trading take place.
Huh.
And that's how I learned. And I remember how I struggled, how I raised money. It's a moment of great happiness. There was a samosa wala here,
Huh.
right? They never had the garden here earlier. And we used to eat samosas
Huh.
out here. Lovely samosas used to make. But we had a bomb blast in the BSc. And I was in the ring on the day of the blast. And that poor samosa wala died here. We had 12 exits from the ring. And there was such panic after the bomb blast. And I kept shouting because they were afraid of a stampede. That don't worry, if we die, we'll die together. Don't try to save only yourself. Right? And I saw the viewing gallery in the BSc ring, and the glass broke off and one person's head got cut in the ring. Very vivid and tragic memories of that day. But this street, when I come here, it really reminds me how I used to come here.
Everybody saw how Mumbai, how the stock exchange was back on its feet so quickly after the blast. Now, is there something about making money, about trading, about business that is linked to the survival instinct, you think?
Trading always keeps you on your feet. It makes you alert. So that's one of the reasons I like to trade.
What are these attitudes in life that you've got from your profession?
First thing I've learned in life is that markets work. They are the best mechanism to build societies, right? Then I personally feel...
You're philosophical about what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm both passionate. I don't know whether I'm philosophical, I'm observant surely.
The India shining story, are you the face of that story, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala?
Well, that's not for me to say. When I entered the market, the index was 150. Today the index is 12,000, 80 times, right? And, I could have gone abroad. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I could have practiced. But it's a fact that a person who started in 1985 in India, in the stock markets, could meet with success, which speaks volumes for the opportunity available here.
Today, every move you make, every investment you make, every stock you put your money on is tracked. There are people who jump onto that bandwagon, whether you like it or not. Does that pressurize you?
See, ma'am, I have no clients except my wife because I don't want to be answerable to anybody.
Right.
But with her, I have no choice.
Does it pressurize you? Like performance anxiety, like if I'm a cricketer or a soccer player and if I start performing well, there is always an expectation that every time I go out onto the batting field, I will score 100. Look at what's happening to Sachin
But
Tendulkar.
ma'am, whether anybody is watching or not, I am always paranoid about all my actions, right? And the likelihood of my action being successful, say 5 years ago or 10 years ago or today, is only better to the extent that what better experience I've had, right? And I'm fearless there. I don't think I'm not concerned about what people think. I'm concerned with my deeds.
You're an icon when it comes to somebody who's successful at the stock market. Are there a lot of bunties and bubblies out there wanting to become Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, you think?
I do get a mail from a lot of people who say they want to invest in markets, they want to follow my career path. What did I do? They want to know.
Ordinary investors, retired people, do you think that there is an understanding that they want to be educated or they just want to make a quick buck?
No, I find that there is a genuine feeling. See, markets are about money, but markets are also about knowledge. Markets are also about egos. Markets are also about the ability, the satisfaction at having been proved right, especially when that right is from an original thought and not guided by necessarily following somebody. So I feel the anxiety, the curiosity and the anxiousness to learn markets is quite genuine. But I think markets being markets, the ability is quite limited in my opinion.
Greed and fear, you've said, are two traits that have to be balanced.
Yeah.
How does one balance them? Give us an anecdote
Well,
now,
ma'am,
where you had to balance it.
Anurag, it's like this, that suppose I invested in Titan, right? Now I bought X number of shares. I was extremely bullish, right? And I would have been greedy if I had put more than say a certain percentage of my wealth into Titan.
Right.
And I did not do it because of the fear that Titan may not do well. I might lose my principal. So that's how I balanced.
What about ACC? Because you sold ACC at a lot less than what it actually went up to.
Ma'am, they say markets either don't come to markets or don't regret what you have done. Right? Naya gilli, naya dao. I think the second quarter 1991 result was the best result ACC produced for the next 10 years. And after that result came, I sold the shares. Right? I bought them at 300. Within 15 months, I sold at 3,500. And the price went to 10,000. I have no regrets about it.
You have no regrets, but what principle do you think drove you at that point? Fear or greed?
I think none. I was not being greedy, nor was I being fearful. I was being rational.
Celebrating 3 years of the bull run, the Bombay Stock Exchange Index has gone from 3,000 plus to 12,000 plus in just 3 years. And the bellwether investor, who everyone touches for tips or for capital, says it's going to stay that way.
The index has gone up from 3,000 to 12,000
In 3 years' time.
in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And people are excited. Everybody's making money, and that's why markets are making headline news, as they say. Teji mein sabka bol bala, mandi mein sabka muh kala.
Every time the markets run up, people get extremely euphoric and they get very, very nervous, isn't it? And you're the guy who they run to defend the bull run.
There's no question of defending the bull run. See, we forget that after all, what are markets? Markets reflect economic truth and fundamentals. And I believe India is going into a period of unprecedented economic growth. I think markets are only recognizing that.
Why is it so difficult to believe
Because
what you're saying? Why is there this fear psychosis almost
I think
that if things are good, they're bound to go bad?
I think for two reasons. Past experience and the inertia of the mind that India can have continued economic growth. And also I think we had 2 scams in the stock market. This has also made people very suspicious of markets.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of reasons.
Are you saying that we should not be suspicious at all this time round?
Well, I don't say that we should not be. I don't think they need to be suspicious. Although I think they need to be alert. And I don't think they need to have alertness. I don't think there are any scams in the markets.
Now, in the past, the secondary market where we have seen these 2 scams happen, the primary markets have been a safer place for retail investors.
Right.
Now it looks like the primary markets are also suspect, isn't it?
Let us understand one thing, that the misuse of mechanisms is part of all markets. All markets have to evolve. So therefore we have to go through a stage of evolution where people are going to take advantage of the law, but the law will catch up, right? And
You always defended the regulator very strongly, saying that the regulator is in place and the regulator's systems and processes are just fine.
See, ma'am,
do you still stand by that?
See, we may be critical of some mistakes the regulators might have made, but we should realize that in the Indian stock markets we have gone from the Wild West to being one of the most modernized trading systems in the world.
And in a very short span of time.
In a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And even all regulation has to evolve. And mistakes are going to be made during the process of evolution. So I think it's a matter of being a glass half full or half empty.
Ironically, while Jhunjhunwala has all the trappings of success, he still clings to his middle-class South Mumbai roots. Proud to be a self-made man, he can't help spouting Jhunjhunwala-isms.
What I want to know is how important is it for you that people are always guessing how much you're worth? It's important, isn't it, that people don't really know?
What irritates me is how does it matter to them? And see, I'm not running any relay race. And I'm not in any rat race with somebody that I want to be richer than somebody or I want to be the richest man. My purpose in life is to do what I enjoy and enjoy what I do. Right? And wealth is a byproduct
Of what you do.
of what I do.
Yeah.
And therefore, why is it, what is the importance for people to know what my wealth is? How is it relevant?
Maybe only because your claim to fame is the money you've made on your own, first generation, from
No, I
scratch,
don't agree.
from starting with 5,000 rupees.
I think what is more needed to be appreciated is not the wealth I had as much, but
How you made it.
how I made it, right? By God's grace, I am a rich man. How rich, how important? Why? How is it important? I can tell you one thing. I am rich enough even for my wealth to matter internationally.
You just mentioned that you are not in a rat race. how do you react when you see these lists that come out? 100 richest men in the world, 100 richest Indians, 50 most powerful Indians. Because you figured in some, haven't you?
Well, see, ma'am, I have no press agent and I have no press agency, right? And I am not seeking any publicity. But as long as any list is a recognition of human effort and human achievement, right? And I would be lying to say that I don't like to be on that list. So surely I like to be there, but I am making no special efforts to be on any list.
Right.
Being on that list is coincidental and not the purpose of my work.
Right. So obviously there is no ambition therefore to be on another list and a higher number on any list.
Not at all.
You have often and emphatically pointed out that there is a lot of research, there is a lot of data gathering, there is a lot of knowledge accumulation that goes into this, this business of yours. What do you read?
See, I read The Economist and the India Today. India Today I read cover to cover every week. The Economist I read the entire business section and the science, technology and the obituary section. Right? These are my readings constantly. And I read broker reports, go through results, read balance sheets.
There are 4 screens there, 5 screens. You want to just quickly, briefly tell us which one does what?
Well, these are all the BSE NSE live screens.
Right.
Where I track the prices.
Right.
Right?
So the first one here on the left
These
is
are
your
all
portfolio.
Is my investments.
Right.
These are the futures.
There are 31 scripts there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except sale, I think all of them are my investment, the last one.
Okay.
These are all some shares in which I have some short-term positions.
Right.
And these are the, just some company whose prices I want to follow.
Right.
These are the futures, what I trade, right? This is the live Reuters screen where I get information and some other markets and prices I follow, and many news. And this is the internet.
Right. So this is this...
And there I have the television.
Right. Can you go through a single day without having, if you want to, conversations with anybody outside?
There are certain people whose views I value, some friends with whom I discuss matters. So I talk to them. And essentially, see, decisions in investing and trading are very lonely decisions. And I can of course trade without talking to anybody, but I tend to talk to people. Yeah.
Now I have spoken to some people who've said that there is this contradiction in Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. There's this long-term view he has on shares, and he stays and he stays and he stays.
Right.
Hangs in there,
Right.
tight.
Right.
And here on this screen, on his trading screen, he can win and he can make and lose what, 20 crores, 50 crores in a blink. As we talk, can you do that?
Well, I don't do that kind of trading, right? And ma'am, why do I hold investments for long term? Because I've realized, I read somewhere, and time has taught me that we should be greedy but long term greedy. Right? And when you have a good investment, when you have something good, stick to it.
What about the other screen?
Ma'am, I had no capital when I came to the markets, and no father gives and no father-in-law gives. Right? So I had to earn the capital to invest. How do you invest if you have the capital? And I get the capital by doing all this future trading.
And you can lose and make up to how much in a single, as we are talking?
I don't, I would not like to quote figures, but we make and lose. I told you, I'm not afraid to make a mistake.
Is there
Only I make mistakes which I can afford, so I can live to make another one.
You get in actually before the trend starts, isn't it? For the investment decisions.
By God's grace, I think from 86 to 2006, I've been able to catch most, I say, except if there have been 10 cycles in the market, I've been able to catch 9 right. So investment-wise, the cycles have been good. Trading, we make mistakes every day. George Soros has said beautifully that it's not important that you're right or wrong in trading. It's more important how much you lose when you're wrong and how much you make when you are right.
If you lose money, do you feel very stressed?
Never.
Never?
Never. And never. You feel it, I feel it for 5 minutes. Because ma'am, I'm not staking more than 2-3% of my wealth in any, right? And see, as I always remember Churchill's word, lose many a battle to win a war.
Churchill you quote very regularly. Now the thing is, do you read anything else these people have written? The non-investing legends.
But Churchill was not an investing legend at all.
Exactly. So these
And-
people, do you read beyond the quotes that have come into books outside the markets? Do you
Yeah,
have
ma'am,
any
I tell
other
you why about Churchill.
inspirations?
I'm very much fascinated by the Second World War.
Huh.
And I've seen so many movies on the Second World War. I saw 25 series on the war.
Okay.
And that gives you a lot of quotes. Now my reading is very much
Curtailed.
below the much lesser than what non-market reading or non-economic reading. But when I was a child, or say until I was 35, I was a voracious reader.
Jhunjhunwala has his eyes clearly on the future. Today, besides his family, he's passionate about his causes, from a children's home to a think tank to review the state's welfare efforts.
Even by international standards, you have good wealth, is what you've said.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you're ready to trade and to invest in international markets? What is stopping you? Is it legality or is it skill?
First, there are 2-3 reasons, man. The first reason, first of all, is even if I desire, I cannot do it because all my wealth is in India. And the Reserve Bank of India, government of
Yeah,
India
so
doesn't allow
legalities. There are,
legalities.
Yeah,
But I see by 2010, we will have capital convertibility.
right.
That's my guess, right? Second, I think the opportunity in India itself is so huge and so nascent. We're getting good food at home, why think of a restaurant,
Fair enough.
right? Third point is
Scale.
that to invest internationally, scale, and also I need to build a bigger and broader organization
Which
so
you're in the process of doing.
So I think I'll have all the 3 by 2010.
So by 2010,
And I want to-
international markets,
Yeah, I want to.
hold on.
Yeah, I want to go to the international market. Also.
But in terms of the capital you need to invest to be considered of a notable investor in the
Ma'am, I
international
don't want
markets.
to. I don't want to go to any market to be noted. I want to go to a market to make money.
So capital is not a limitation.
Ma'am, I have learned in life, capital is never a limitation.
You work with money in a sense, okay, to put it very simplistically. Where do you save your money?
Where do you save my money? I save whatever I earn less my expenses, my saving.
Away from the stock markets, is there any other areas where would you save your money? Art, real estate?
I don't have. I just bought one painting last month. Apart from that, I have no art really, and I have no real. I have a house in Lonavala, this office. Apart from this, I don't own any real estate. I invested in some real estate funds, right? So
what is a saving for Rakesh Jhunjhunwala? I'm trying to make relate
saving
to
is
you.
the value of the value. My wealth is the value of my portfolio. That's my savings.
Can that be notional also? Because today, depending on the markets, it's X. Tomorrow it
It's
goes
not
down.
notional.
It can
I
be.
would not use the word notional. I will say it's fluctuating,
Okay.
but it fluctuates within a band.
That is important, that it is within a band. Doesn't it bother you sometimes that you're not the guy with the ideas? You're the guy who's backing the guys with the ideas.
I don't think so. I mean, see, there are various parts of creating anything or building anything. So when I invest in a company at the initial stage, I'm helping build that company. I distinguish between my chairmanship of Aptech and my directorship of other companies. In Aptech, we are under management control of the company. So we
Exactly.
are exactly running it. And the other companies, I'm
What
just
is that experience like? Because for you, it's a new experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a challenge, ma'am. I don't know whether I'll be successful or not, and I will know only in 5 years. But I love a challenge. Funds worldwide have made billions of dollars by taking over management control of companies. Now, I had never taken management control of any company prior to Aptech.
Right.
And the jury is still out whether we will succeed or not. And I think it will take 4 to 5 years. I still come to that year 2010, right?
2010 is
I'll
a
be
year
50,
where
I'll
a
be
lot
fif-
of things will
I'll be
happen
50,
to
I'll be
Rakesh
50
Jhunjhunwala.
I'll be 50 that year.
So you're
I
a
will-
man who sets these milestones, huh?
but
That
I'm
by
not-
50
but
I
they are
have to
all-
do
but
this.
But they no, I never said that. They're very flexible milestones. In a stock market, people come on CNBC and give targets. Man may humanly think of targets, but they're all flexible. If I succeed in reviving Aptech and making it a very good company, very profitable company, then I'll have the courage to buy the management control of far larger companies.
We talked in the morning when we were outside the BSE about how every time the markets are on a bull run and when, the Sensex keeps climbing, there is great excitement and there's also fear. Now, does it bother you that people like you are scrutinized very intensely at that time?
Ma'am, I am concerned about one thing. I follow the law in letter and spirit, right? And we live in a democracy. Government, there are institutions and laws set, right? I act in accordance with those law and the institutions. Now, if the government has the right or the authorities have the right to examine everything, so whether we like it or not, we have to accept it, and that's part of life. I don't grudge it.
But this suspicion that sort of comes up every time these issues happen, and even otherwise, given the business that you're in, does that bother you?
Not at all. I'll tell you, ma'am, one thing.
But it's something that you recognize
See,
exists.
whatever I've done in life, people have looked at a suspicion. Imagine a chartered accountant in 1985, coming from a bureaucratic family, going to the stock market and standing on the streets, right? I mean, people will feel it's quite incredulous. My father is a member of Billionaire Club from 1973. I'm a qualified chartered accountant, right? I'm a professionally qualified person, right? I don't think culturally I've done anything wrong. Then they don't want to make me a member of the Billionaire Club. It's their choice. Initially, I used to react to this with anger. Now I react to it with maturity. That it's a matter, people may have any opinion, time will change their opinion.
Is there a sense that if you have made your money as a trader in the stock markets, as an investor in the stock markets, somehow it's not as respectable as, let's say, the captains of industry? Does that bother you somewhere? Because you are putting in huge amounts of education and knowledge to make the kind of investments that you're making.
But ma'am, let me tell you one thing, and here let me be very candid. For the kind of recognition I have got, right, I don't think it's not respected. It's now not respected in antique minds, right? If capitalism is the only method of government or of government, then the only temple of that form of government is the stock market, right? And ma'am, believe me, I am not doing anything to be recognized by anybody. The recognition is incidental.
But
I am doing what I enjoy and what I want to do.
Rakesh, but it bothers you enough today for you to remember an incident of Willingdon Club not giving you membership.
No, but ma'am, that maybe was 10, 12 years ago. I might have felt a little pinch, or 8 years. I don't feel it.
From a traditional Marwari family, Jhunjhunwala chooses to live with his parents. Without their support, he's clear he wouldn't have managed to get so far. Today, he's passionate about his wife, his daughter, and his life. His sisters and family, the only people to benefit from his stock tips.
My dad is is person who has taught me the most in life, and I think whatever I am in life, he has a very substantial contribution in it. And we have diametrically opposite views in life, but he has taught me 4 golden words. He's the most democratic father. We agree to disagree. I had a curiosity, and he nurtured that curiosity.
So you're not a mummy's boy, you're a daddy's boy.
No, I'm both mummy and daddy's boy. I'm the baby of the family. I'm 46, and the younger tend to be both youngest.
Yeah.
I live with my parents, and we're very close-knit family.
You have a daughter, Nishtha.
Yeah.
I remember hearing you say that you have several challenges in front of you. The first challenge is to be able to look after your health, i.e. cut down on drinking and cut down on smoking, so that you can spend minimum 35 years with your daughter Nishtha. How are you doing on that challenge?
Well, I'm just starting to work on it.
What I'm quoting is something I heard 2 years ago, and you're still trying to work on it, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala.
I thought it's better late than never.
You're still trying to work on it.
Yeah, and I will eventually.
But you're talking about 2010, you're talking about Nishtha, you're talking about parents who've helped support you in this career choice when you made it, and who you live with out of choice today. Surely it bothers them that you're not dealing with this challenge up front and with the kind of effort that is needed.
Well,
what do you have to say to them?
Well, I have no face to face them, let me tell you. But Aniruddha, I have lost a battle, but I have not lost the war.
Okay, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, on one of those stock quotes, I'm going to wish you all the very best in this battle. And I hope that the markets continue to rise and nobody pays a price for it.
Well, that's a hope which may not be very, very legitimate because in markets some are going to make, some are going to lose. My hope would be that let India's economy prosper, let all Indians have at least basic needs, and let us build a society which is egalitarian where we allow people's skills to flow and develop.